Okay, the sample boards that we're going to do are wood grain, we're going to do a slate, we're going to do a travertine, we're going to do a border with some texture inserts, and we're going to do a flagstone. The ones that I used, the ones we based last, we're going to use for the flagstone and the travertine because we want to dictate a lighter grout line color for those. But as I was explaining, base mixes are not always necessary. So when we're going to mark off our wood grain, it's a very, very thin grout line, and it doesn't really require a base coat unless there was some paint or some problems with the concrete itself. The nice thing about doing the wood grain here is that it's completely water resistant. It's not like real wood or even Pergo, where if you get water on it, it causes swell and it can be a problem. You could be completely submerged in water and it won't do anything to it. And also, it's very, very strong. It's very stable. It's it looks very good, and it's easy to do too. So the other thing is that you can actually do random sized planks, which is different because if you're doing a Pergo or even a regular wood grain, it's pretty much a standard size plank. But I like to mix it up a little bit, so I'm going to measure off a 6-inch plank, and then an 8-inch plank, and then a 4-inch plank. Of course, this last one will be 6. And if you just mix it up like that, it looks very natural and very nice to have a random look. And usually what I'll try to do is the lengthwise, I'll keep the length of a plank 6 to 8 feet or so that it looks very natural. Maybe on a wider one, I might go a little bit longer, but not very much. I'm going to take this is a paper filament tape. It's very, very strong. You'd have trouble ripping it. It has fiberglass in it for strength, and you can see it's very thin. It's an 1/8-inch tape that gives us a very nice thin grout line that we can use for our wood grain. You can stretch this completely across the job. If you have somebody holding one end and you can pull it all the way across and lay it down, it makes it real easy to tape off long sections like that. Then once in a while, just to give you the effect of the end of a plank even on a sample board, I'm going to throw in a little piece there that ends this plank there. And we'll go ahead and put that aside and move on to the next one. It's a good idea on the wood grain, if you're taping off a whole room, that you take some of the red tape and mark where the ends of the boards are, so that when you're putting the texture in, you can look across the room and see that. But in any case, now we're going to do a random slate look. And with that, I like to use a 3/8-inch tape. It gives you a very realistic look. Of course, when we're replicating something natural, we'd like to kind of have the same size grout lines you'd expect to find in that. If you were doing a Saltillo tile, you'd have a 3/4-inch grout line. When we do the flagstone, we'll have a 1/2-inch to a 1-inch random grout line, and just try to make things look somewhat realistic. So this one here is mostly done by eyeball, and you really don't have to take a square out and make sure that everything is completely square. You just want it to look like it's square. So what I'll generally do is I'll go out, start taping off a section on the floor, and then every once in a while I'll get up and take a look and see if it looks like it's square. I'll look at it from this way, and then I'll look at it from that way, and if it appears to be square, then we could consider it square. So I'm going to tape off something completely random like that, and we'll put the texture on it in a little bit. Now this one here, I like to do, on a sample, I'm going to do a very small border. I'm going to do a 4-inch border, just around 2 sides of it, to give you the idea that there is a border. If I'm doing an entire room, borders are really good for a number of things. But first and foremost, they break up a lot of large areas into manageable sections for you. So if you went and troweled, say, an 8 or a 10-inch border, tape it all off, trowel the border out, you can do a dual texture. So I could do a different texture on the border than I'm doing on the insert. It gives you a really nice high-end look, and it provides me access. So I've broken up the room into the size of the room instead of having to worry about going seamless out into the hallway or into the next room. So I've got a a distinct area that I'm separated into. And I'm also able to get over there. So if that part starts drying more quickly than this part, I can just walk around on the border and get over there. It's a big help on a project, and it really gives you a very nice look too. And we replicate that on a sample by just putting a border on two sides. And as I said, we're going to go with the small border because a big one would look silly on such a small sample. We'll tape that off, set that aside, and then now I'm going to wait until the two that we based earlier are dry, and then we'll tape those ones off.